Welcome back to our Steven. I'm your host, Steven, and I'm here to remind you of that thing. You know, that thing that you said you'd remember to do later. And today, from a sister-in-law hiding someone's shoes to not letting family live with you after a house fire, we get to decide if any of these people are jerks, all starting with a post titled, "Am I the jerk for giving my friend a much-needed reality check?" My mate and I are both in our mid-30s. We've known each other for over 20 years, and realistically, we've been each other's main support system for most of that time. He's the only person I speak to regularly, and I'm the same for him. Let's call him Dave. I recently moved to another city for work, so we don't get to hang out in person anymore. We still call every few days, and despite everything, I genuinely love the guy like a brother. I don't see us ever not being in each other's lives. I could go on about his best qualities. But respectfully, Dave has all my worst traits, but turned up to 100. I struggle with depression and social anxiety too, but I've been putting in the effort to turn things around. I've been exercising, getting outside, forcing myself into small social situations, and trying to look after myself even on the rough days. Dave, on the other hand, has been going the opposite direction. He barely leaves the house anymore. His hygiene has dropped off dramatically. He doesn't try to take care of himself physically or emotionally, and whenever I gently encourage him, he brushes it off or gives me the "what's the point" line. I'm not a therapist, and I've told him that. I can support him, but I can't fix him. The recurring issue is this: Dave has never been romantic with anyone, which isn't a problem on its own. I've had my own struggles in that area, and being single is not a character flaw. The problem is that every few weeks he spirals into a rant about how unfair life is, how no girl will ever want someone like him, and how the universe has personally decided he doesn't get love. Last week during a call, I snapped. Not yelling, just brutal honesty. I told him, "You never leave the house, you don't shower, you don't groom yourself, and you spend all day doom scrolling and feeling sorry for yourself. You can't expect someone to magically appear when you're doing nothing to make yourself feel better or put yourself out there. Even if it's not guaranteed, you're making your odds worse. Honestly, you're starting to think like an incel." He absolutely lost it. He called me unsupportive, rude, and even called me a traitor. Then he said some genuinely nasty things about my ex-fiance leaving me. It was stuff that came out of nowhere and cut pretty deep. I hung up. He's tried calling me a few times since, but I haven't picked up because I'm still heated and honestly a bit hurt. I'm sure that we'll eventually talk things out, but I'm very nervous about our next conversation too. So, am I the jerk for finally giving him the reality check he's refused to hear for years? I would love to hear from anybody that thinks maybe I'm wrong here, but is OP not being like measurably a good friend here? Honestly, if I had a friendship like OP has with Dave, I would want to hear those things. I would want to be pushed like that. It would only kind of serve to better me. The thing is, Dave has to understand that OP is saying this not from a judgmental place or in some kind of way of trying to intentionally hurt him, but to kind of spur him in a positive direction for his life. I mean, shoot, I would love to have a friend like OP in my life right now. A user named Lee Laws left a comment on the post saying, "Everybody sucks here." I don't think it's friendship ending, depending on what was said about the ex-fiance. Sounds like everyone needs a cooling off period and then some deeper friendship talks. Hopefully you're able to help him out, OP. Depression is a cruel thing. I get that you've been through your own version, but you don't know his. He might need meds to get himself to a baseline where he can crawl out. He might need additional support to start to form new habits. I think you were right to give him a wake-up call on the dating front, but I think you're being a jerk about his mental health. The OP responded to that saying, "I'll be sending him a text later today. I've had some time to think, and reading these responses have given me a good idea of how to approach things. I would hate to lose my friendship with him, and I'm going to try to be more empathetic and patient going forward while doing my best to point him in the right direction. I've hit rock bottom before, but I know what I've done to better myself isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. And I acknowledge so much is easier said than done. Hoping for the best, Dave has always been a great person deep down. These last couple of years have just been especially hard on him, I think. And nobody wants to hit rock bottom, but I would greatly appreciate it if you could hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. That would definitely be a one-size-fits-all solution for me. The OP then went on to post an update 5 days later. Update: Am I the jerk for giving my friend a much-needed reality check? Since my original post, Dave and I finally had a proper conversation. I gave him a call the day after the post. He told me what I said genuinely hurt him, but he also admitted that, deep down, he knew that I was right. He ended up breaking down and opening up in a way he never has before. He said this life isn't the life he pictured for himself, that he feels like he's let his family down, and that he worries it's too late to turn things around. For context I didn't include earlier, Dave comes from a very strict Asian household. He was expected to become a high-earning professional. And while his 2 younger siblings have gone on to build successful careers and start families, Dave burned out in uni. He told me that watching his siblings thrive while he struggled has crushed his self-esteem over the years. He also revealed that his dad refuses to speak to him now. This is something I had no idea about until this conversation. He said he did understand that I was coming from a place of love, but I apologized for the way my bluntness came across. He also apologized for the comment he made about my ex-fiancé, which really did cross a line, and we cleared the air there. I tried reassuring him that he's always been an incredible friend and a genuinely good person. I reminded him that his siblings used to look up to him and still come to him for advice sometimes, which says a lot about who he is beyond his struggles. I told him that I would support him however I reasonably can, but that real change has to come from him. And to his credit, he started making some small steps. He promised to get back into basic self-care, look into therapy, and try easing himself into a routine again. He even went out, got his long, greasy hair cut, shaved, and honestly, he looks like a different person already. That alone seemed to lift his spirits a bit. Going forward, I'm planning to approach things with more empathy and patience. Life has genuinely hit Dave hard, and I want to help him climb out of this rough spot at a pace that's realistic for him. I know what it's like to feel trapped in a dark place, and I'm hoping that with enough time and support, he'll eventually find his way out. We're meeting up back in our hometown next week, and we're going to be watching some of our favorite movies at his place. This was definitely kind of the outcome I was hoping for. You know, it kind of felt like almost like a brotherly thing, you know? You say some things that in the moment you're worked up, you want to hurt the person, but you don't really mean it. You know, there's a real level of kinship here when they're willing to overlook that. They recognize they both had their own faults here and that they want to see each other do the best they can. A user named No Appointment left a comment saying, "And be aware there's likely going to be backsliding and even later denying what he said when he owned his responsibility. You may want to learn a little bit about manipulative abuse. Unfortunately, sometimes in our struggles with our mental health, we feel the need to control as many things as people in our lives will let us control. It's not good and it ends poorly. I might let a friend know that I'm aware of that part of the cycle and ask them how I can help redirect them if and when it comes to that." The OP responded, "I figured as much based on my own experience. I texted him about an hour ago to reassure him about this very thing. Even though it's only been a couple of days, he is being much more open and honest with me, and I hope that going forward, he'll let me know if he starts to spiral again." Our next story is, am I the jerk for calling gold stable and my sister losing $1,000 because of it? I'm 19-year-old male, and I've been trading for a few months. I'm up about 15%. My sister, 22-year-old female, saw this and asked what she should do with her savings. I told her to look into gold because it's generally stable and safer than most investments. She bought some gold on January 22nd. The price went up a little, so she felt good about it and bought more on January 27th. Altogether, she invested $10,000. Right after that, the price dropped. She got really scared because that's a lot of money for her. On February 1st, she sold everything and locked in a $1,000 loss. After she sold, the price went back up and is now higher than when she first bought. Now she wants me to pay her back the $1,000. She says I tricked her by calling gold stable when it dropped about 10% in a week. She says she wouldn't have invested that much if I hadn't made it sound low risk. I told her that she chose to sell when it was down, and that stable doesn't mean the price never drops. My mom says that I'm the jerk because I gave financial advice I wasn't qualified to give and it ended up costing my sister money. Was I the jerk for calling gold stable? You know, I think situations like these are especially why when creators like me talk about these kinds of things, it's almost overly important to clarify this is not financial advice. Like even on Reddit, sometimes I'll stumble across like Wall Street bet posts or whatever, and in the comments people will be like, go all in on this thing, and then at the very bottom of their comments say, this is not financial advice. Thing is though, I kind of generally agree with OP that gold is a pretty stable thing that kind of always stays with inflation. The problem is, I kind of feel like the sister invested at a time that violates like two of my own personal cardinal sins, which is one, investing in something that is having like a historical level of fluctuation right now. The second is immediately selling at a big drop when you invested in something that is historically pretty stable. And really, to tack on a third, it's like the premium example of why they say diversify. You don't just throw all $10,000 into a gold share and call it a day. Like again, not financial advice, but if you really wanted to do something like that, maybe the S&P 500. But moreover, diversify. A user named KitchenArm left a comment on the post saying, everybody sucks here. You suck for advising your sister to invest when she clearly doesn't understand investment enough. She sucks for making a dumb choice to buy high, sell low. The opposite of what you should do in investment and not writing it out, then blaming you when she did her illogical emotional reaction. You don't owe her the $1,000. It's a lesson for her. An expensive lesson, but a lesson. Our next story is, am I the jerk for skipping my friend's daughter's first birthday and charging her for the gift after she forgot to tell me the time changed? I'm feeling pretty heated right now and need some perspective. My friend's daughter is turning 1 today. A few weeks ago, my friend asked if I could make truffles for the party. I agreed, and she mentioned she would reimburse me for the ingredients. However, because truffles are expensive to make and incredibly labor-intensive, I decided I would just gift them as the birthday present instead of asking for money. I spent all day yesterday in the kitchen making these. I had to wake up super early this morning to finish the final touches and get ready for the 9 a.m. start time listed on the invitation. I showed up at 9 a.m. sharp, truffles in hand, and the place was empty. I double-checked the invite and it definitely said 9 a.m. I called my friend and she casually told me that the time had been changed to the afternoon. She admitted that she forgot to tell me, and apparently I was the only guest who wasn't notified. After working so hard yesterday and sacrificing my Saturday morning sleep, I was and am ticked. I haven't told her if I can make it in the afternoon yet. Would I be the jerk if I charge her the full amount for the ingredients and my time, since I might no longer be attending and these were meant to be a gift? Or refuse to go to the afternoon session because I've already wasted my morning and now I have other plans? Which is mostly just being too annoyed to celebrate. Edit, I didn't tell her that I would gift her the truffles, I had just decided that myself. Edit, a lot of people are asking for more context, so here it goes. We moved to a new city last year, so I've been trying hard to make new friends and I've been hanging out with this friend and some of her friends. But I'm not in their little group yet. I'm a very helpful person in general and have a lot of party planning experience. So I actually helped her decide many aspects of the party, like how much food, what types of food, how many drinks, etc. We were exchanging info back and forth about this party constantly, and I even lent her a bunch of my own decor stuff to use for the cake table. Also, she specifically chose 9 a.m. because that's when her daughter is most alert and happiest, so this was supposed to be a brunch-type birthday party. Given how much we talked about the details and the fact that she has my decor, I really don't feel like this was an easy thing to forget. Update: wow, I did not expect this to blow up. First of all, I don't think it's fair for some people to say I'm self-obsessed or that it's clear why I'm not involved in the group. Clearly, those people have never been in a position where they had to move cities and make new friends after a certain age. It is not easy. I wrote that first post while I was literally leaving the empty venue and heading home, so everything was fresh and I just needed to process externally and see what others would do. I think that's pretty normal when you're frustrated. After taking a nap and reading through the comments, I decided to be an adult about it. I went to the birthday party in the afternoon, brought the truffles, and told her they were a gift. I do think she just had a mom brain moment and genuinely forgot to tell me, but because I'm new here and have been struggling with feeling excluded, it hit me harder in the moment. Thank you everyone for your answers and for helping me see things more clearly. I'm not going to hold this over her head, but I am going to keep it in mind. If it happens again or becomes a pattern, I'll know this isn't the right friendship for me. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't fault OP for feeling the way they did, at least in the moment. I kind of agree that in that time, understandably, emotions are going to be high. I mean, I myself, especially with somebody that I'm not like super close with yet as a friend, I'm going to maybe be like, oh, so this is how it is. That's how you are as a friend, huh? I go out of my way. I gave you my decor. I made truffles for you. Fine, I'll have my own party with blackjack and forget it all. A user named No Albatross left a comment saying, I mean, context matters. Did she apologize? The OP responded, she kind of did apologize. She said, oh, did I forget to tell you it had changed to the afternoon? Oops, sorry, but it didn't sound like actually sorry, more like a whoops. Parkour82 left a comment asking, how many truffles or types of truffles did you make? I assume you mean chocolate truffles. Unless you made hundreds or made many different types, I'm not sure why it took you a whole day plus. The OP responded, yes, I made 200 truffles, 4 different types, each with different decorations to match the theme of the party. Our next story is, am I the jerk for not allowing my dad and sister to live with us after I just had a baby and their home was ruined by a neighbor's house fire? To start, I needed to escape from living with my dad and sister many years ago. I moved in with my boyfriend, now husband, in college 10 years ago. They're irresponsible, siphon money, and don't take care of anything. My sister is a narcissist and I've been in therapy for 3 years. I had a baby recently and I'm writing this post on 3 hours of sleep. I'm exhausted and burned out. I'm a working mom, my husband works too, and we're still in survival mode. Their neighbor's house caught fire and burned to the ground. My dad and sister's home was close. The siding melted, windows cracked, blinds melted, inside smells like smoke. No one was hurt. My dad and sister still have their belongings. Utilities are off and insurance companies are looking into everything. No clue how long this will take or what is going to happen. However, my dad has tons of medical problems and equipment and would need to stay on the main floor. There's nowhere for him to stay aside from the living room, our only common area, and this is where the baby spends most days. Baby is at an age where he'll grab and chew on anything, including small parts for medical supplies. My dad would need to use the bathroom on the main floor. He's not careful when he goes, to put it politely. He refuses to clean and has been extremely disorganized since I was born. Medically, it's different now. I can't fault him for not being able to complete everyday tasks. My concern is the possibility of incontinence, and being around the baby is worrisome due to health concerns, as well as me needing to mother my own father on top of my son. My sister and her cat have already been staying with us over the weekend. Dad is considered a displaced senior with medical necessities, so the hospital has taken him for now. They want him out soon. My husband has a mild cat allergy, so we can't keep the cat in the house for long. My sister is disrespectful and rude. I'm used to ignoring her, but my husband is livid. She watched us put away groceries. I had to ask her to help with the dishes after she ate a meal that I cooked. And she brought over my dad's dirty laundry and didn't do it because she went to an activity for fun. My husband is currently doing it while I'm at work, and I have to run it to my dad tonight in the hospital. She talks and talks without ever stopping. She is selfish and doesn't think about anyone except herself. My husband put his foot down and I agreed. We spoke with my sister and gave her a 2-week max that she could stay. She started to cry. This gives her plenty of time to work with the landlord, they rent, and the insurance to be placed into temporary housing. I feel very, very guilty though. Been working on not people pleasing, but I feel like this is different. But I can't do this. I'm already at the end of my rope. I need to put my son first. I can't do more than this. 2 weeks is even difficult. Am I the jerk? OP clearly has a very long, tumultuous history with these family members. I can't really fault OP for not helping them out, and it's not like OP is watching them wander right onto the street. The OP is still giving them 2 weeks to figure things out. They're very likely going to qualify for some kind of displacement housing. There's clearly benefits and care that can be arranged for OP's father. Maybe you could argue, maybe OP could be a bit of a jerk if they were headed straight for the streets, but that's not what's happening here. A user named Jaguar Mammoth left a comment saying, "Not the jerk. I wouldn't have let them stay at all. They can get a hotel room. They should be able to read their insurance documents and see if temporary accommodations are supposed to be covered. You are sure they're telling the truth about the fire, right?" The OP responded saying, "I wish I had said no. They're not good with money and don't have anything saved for emergencies. My sister said that she's making phone calls today. I feel like I needed to light a fire under her butt, and this certainly did it. But yes, I saw the neighbor's house and their house in person, and I was inside the house with all the damage. They can come and go, but all the utilities are turned off until they finish assessing damage. We have ice and snow on the ground and single-digit degree temperatures right now. The neighbor's place is completely gone. They lost everything. She better figure it out sooner rather than later." A user named SJW7 left a comment saying, "It's just not practical for them to live with you. I do have to ask why they didn't get put up somewhere by the insurance straight away though. That's what they pay for, and it would mean that they were an accommodation that meets your dad's needs. Also, it means you aren't having to clean up after a pair of lazy slobs." The OP responded, "Excellent question. This is because they are just as you described. My sister didn't make any phone calls until I told her about the 2-week cutoff. I'm not sure who she spoke with today, but they need something as soon as possible. I feel like I should have seen this, and I'm beating myself up over it all." The OP then goes on to post an update 4 days later. Update: Am I the jerk for not allowing my dad and sister to live with us after I just had a baby and their home was ruined by a neighbor's house fire? Update: Thank you for all your feedback, words of encouragement, blunt honesty, and reminders to set firm boundaries and to take care of my husband and son first. I refuse to allow my father and his medical equipment into our home. There were no arguments there, especially when it came down to the safety and cleanliness of my baby's living environment. The cat allergies became severe for not only my husband, but myself. I held firm that my sister and her cat had to be gone from our home immediately for our health. We couldn't breathe. I told my sister to book a pet-friendly hotel room with her own card, and thanks to a Reddit user's suggestion to help her move along quickly, we sent her the money to cover 2 nights to get her out of our hair. We gave her cash and are not expecting it back. Not ideal, but she is gone, her stuff is out of our house, and we're looking for a cleaning company to help us get rid of the dander. The important thing is, although it was a little bit of a roundabout to get to where OP probably should have been the whole time, they're out, and OP knows not to let them back in. A user named examdo3861 left a comment saying, "Well done. Gotta put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. It sounds like your sister would suck up all the oxygen from your mask before using her own." The OP responded, "Thank you, so well put and so very true." Our next story is, am I the jerk for leaving because my sister-in-law hid my shoes to keep me from taking walks? Sorry if there's any sentences that are missing words. This was over 5,000 characters when I first wrote it, so I had to edit it down. She's my sister-in-law, not my sister. My sister-in-law has 3 little ones, and her husband, my stepbrother, had to leave the country for work for a few months. I offered to stay so I could help her out where needed, and she happily accepted. I live across town, so not that far. I was there for 3 days when my sister-in-law commented on me going on daily walks. I have taken a daily walk of at least a mile since October 2018. Yes, even with a cold. Yes, even in cold weather. Yes to all of it. On nice days, the walk is usually 4 miles. At my sister-in-law's, I started taking a path that was about 2 miles. I asked if she wanted me to watch the kids while she got some exercise, and she scoffed and said she was too busy, but it must be nice. I was a little puzzled since I was offering to help, but the comments kept coming. She kept trying to poke holes. But it's not really a mile every day, right? And what would you do if you broke your foot? Would you get anxious if you couldn't take a walk? Then one morning, I couldn't find my shoes. My sister-in-law woke up an hour later. I was eating breakfast with the kids, and I asked her. She told me to go check the back door, and when I'd gotten back, she pointed at them by the door and said I must have missed them. I took my walk after telling her that her joke wasn't funny. She was annoyed when I got back and told me that she thinks I need to see a therapist over my anxiety/obsession. I told her that I do have a therapist, and she said I clearly need a new one because this one isn't helping. I asked her point blank, why does it bother her so much if I want to take a walk? She said that I was supposed to be there and help her with the kids, and I'm disappearing for hours at a time. I told her that my walks take about 30 minutes, and I'm doing it while they have downtime. I put my shoes in the guest room with the rest of my things, and they were gone the next morning. I just said freak it and packed my things and left. My sister-in-law called me when I was on my way home and said I was overreacting and being childish, and this is why I'm single and alone. I told her that I don't play these stupid games and that I would still pick up the girls and stay until she got home from work, but that she's on her own for everything else. Am I the jerk? Edit. Okay, I did not expect to be told I'm not the jerk to this degree. I thought a lot more people would have arguments why I was, since it has to do with taking care of kids. Is anybody else actually shocked that OB is shocked? I don't know if it's like they just have this conception of Reddit being a place where they go, oh, you're a man that is for 30 minutes dodging taking care of kids? How dare you? I mean, OP's pretty clearly not the jerk here, no? The sister-in-law is kind of like trying to remove some autonomy from OP as a person. How dare OP for 30 minutes in a single day do something that they enjoy? A user named Sister Tulips left a comment saying, your sister-in-law is jealous of your self-care and it's pathetic. Now she's realized she's taken it too far, she looks like a lunatic, and she has no way to reasonably explain this to your stepbrother, because what she did was nuts. Then she doubled down. I'm impressed you're still willing to interact with her at all. If she acts out of line anymore, disappear until stepbrother returns. Also, I would contact him now and very calmly let him know what's up. Be sure to tell him she said A, you need therapy for daily walks, B, that you're childish, and C, leaving because your things get hidden are why you're single and alone. What's she going to do? Explain how she lost a reliable live-in and then at least every workday babysitter because she's a controlling loon? Not the jerk. Our next story is, am I the jerk? Boyfriend thought he was entitled to 100% of the sales price of a part that was thrown in on a purchase I made. Hi there. This happened more than 10 years ago, but I've always wondered who was right. I, female, bought a used motorcycle with my own money, and my boyfriend at the time went with me to check it out. As we were talking to the seller, she mentioned that she had recently upgraded the pipes. My boyfriend asked if she still had the old pipes, and she did. So he asked her if she would include the pipes in the purchase, and she agreed. So when I paid several $1,000s in cash for the motorcycle, it also came with a spare set of pipes worth a few $100s. My boyfriend took the pipes home and started taking pictures of them to put them for sale on Craigslist. I said that was good thinking on his part to ask for the pipes, and that I would be happy to give him a cut of the sale. He said absolutely not, the pipes were his because we wouldn't have them if he hadn't asked for them. I said the pipes were actually mine because we wouldn't have them without my paying for the bike. I did, however, believe that he should be compensated for coming up with the idea, so I offered a 50-50 split. It turned into a huge argument, and I finally relented and let him have the pipes and 100% of the proceeds from the sale, a few $100s. Although I could kind of see his side, I always felt like he bullied me into giving him those pipes. We aren't together anymore, but curious as to which one of us is the jerk. Edit. 1. It's not that I didn't care about the pipes. It just didn't occur to me that she might still have them after putting on the new ones. 2. When he initially asked for them, I thought he was looking out for me and getting them for us to keep as spares. 3. It wasn't until we got home and he started taking pictures of them that I found out he planned to sell them. 4. I'm not still upset about this, nor do I think of it very often. As many of you have pointed out, it's ancient history regarding an ex-boyfriend. Just one of those gray areas where I've always wondered who was right. Thanks so much for your feedback and interesting, sometimes hilarious responses. It's been fun. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like this one is one where you'll get a million different answers from a million different people. I mean, it was his idea, he kind of asked on the side. She never would have thought about it, and it wouldn't have changed the fact that she still would have bought the bike, right? But OP isn't wrong. They were the one that actually paid for it. I mean, it's OP's property at that point. If anything, I would say maybe it would have been more equitable to have like a 75-25 split, with the boyfriend who actually came up with the idea getting the 75%. Am I wrong for kind of feeling like that? A user named Dominion Says So commented, "Not the jerk. At best, you split it. If he were going to use them on his bike, he gets them free though. Info, how did the relationship end? You still with him?" The OP responded, "No, it ended between us a long time ago. Just one of those things I always wondered about because we were both so convinced we were in the right." A user named Potter Squash left a comment saying, "You are the jerk. Let me explain. I don't agree that the pipes were necessarily connected to the sale. You weren't contemplating anything with the pipes. You thought it was a good idea to sell them, meaning you hadn't thought to. You had no plans with the pipes. They never actually factored into your purchase. It seems to me, had you waited a beat till after you said deal and said, 'Hey, what are you doing with the old pipes? Can I have them?' everything would have happened as it happened. Mind you, I rewrote this a couple of times because at first I was ticked he didn't take 50-50, but then I realized those pipes were trash to both you and the other person. He is the only one who thought it was worth the time to flip. He was the only one to even mention them. This is more like meeting a friend for drinks. They order food, waitress brings a basket of bread, they eat a roll, and you're now asking them to split the paycheck because they ate your bread. The pipes were free to anyone who asked. He asked. No money was actually contemplated at all until he contemplated selling them for money." The OP responded to that saying, "This is a very interesting take. He made a similar point at the time. My counter was that if he was some guy who had shown up off the street, I doubt she would have handed him the pipes. More so, if he and I had gone to look at the bike but decided not to buy it, I doubt she would have handed over the pipes. In other words, my being there to look at and purchase the bike was a prerequisite to him getting those pipes." But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, why not check out that video on the left of the screen? Or if you missed my latest video, why not check out that video on the right? That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories. And I'm here to remind you of that thing. You know, that thing that you said you were going to remind yourself.